I'm going to talk a little bit about training for the Camino de Santiago for those of you who are doing your first Camino and wondering how to go about doing the training and how many miles and what kind of terrain you should be training on. I'm going to talk about that. And also how many days you should be training per week, how much distance you should be doing, and whether or not you should be carrying your pack along the way. So we're going to talk about that. And the reason I'm talking about it now seems kind of early. It's only January. It's coming up on February, but still pretty early if you're doing a spring Camino. And the last video, one of the last videos I did was about finalizing my pack for the Camino, even though we're months away. But the reason I do that now instead of in March or April is because a lot of you are putting your packs together. You're starting to think about it. You're going to be buying equipment and you're going to be doing your training, and you need to have this information now if it's your first Camino, as opposed to in March or April when you're ready to go. So that's why I'm talking about it now. That's why I finalize my pack months in advance. I pretty much know what I'm going to bring. It takes me about 5 minutes at this point to put everything together. I have my Camino packing list that's, if you go to my channel description, you can download a copy of it. And it really doesn't take any time at all to go top to bottom. It starts with backpack, and then you have your walking outfit. And for me, that's just shorts, socks, my shoes, shirt, and whatever hat you're going to wear. Those things are pretty easy. I bring 2 of those outfits so that I can rotate them every day, and then put one on when the other one's drying on the line at the end of the day. And then I have an evening outfit, which is usually a pair of pants, something sort of warm, and you don't need to bring a lot of different clothing items. You just bring those few items. But that's why I'm talking about it now instead of 2 months from now finalizing the pack. So those of you who are working on it, you'll have the information before you invest a whole bunch of money in stuff that you're going to get a couple of days in and wish you hadn't brought that much stuff. So that's why I do it now. Regarding the training, if you've been following along, I've been pretty stagnant this winter. And I didn't do a Camino last year. I did 2 trips to Asia, and the walking is a little different. I didn't do any pilgrimage type trails. It's just sightseeing, temples, things like that. So I didn't get those long distance walks in. And so I got a little bit out of shape. And then the wintertime, it gets dark so early, and I'm just not in the mood to walk. And like, for instance, today it's raining. I did manage a walk today, so to keep up my training, but I let myself go throughout the winter. I'm about 20 pounds too heavy for the Camino, but if I can at least get into some sort of shape before the Camino, then I'll be fine. The one thing I will say is that you will start training for the Camino, but there's no way to really duplicate what you're going to experience, particularly on the first day. That's roughly, depends on what part of town you start in. It's going to be somewhere around 16 miles, and you're climbing up over a mountain that's got about a 4,500 foot elevation gain. There's not really a way to duplicate that unless you live in a mountainous area. If you're in Colorado, or like I was in Oregon, and if I used to hike the Columbia River Gorge, which is almost the same. If you hike something, if you look up the Larch Mountain Trail, that's about what you're going to run into on the first day in the Camino. Camino Frances is what I'm talking about, coming out of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. It's about, the Larch Mountain Trail up in the Columbia River Gorge is about 7 miles up, 7 miles back, give or take a half mile, and about 4,200 feet elevation gain. So it's about the same as what you're going to see on the Camino de Santiago, and that's where I did my training for my first Camino. I did the Larch Mountain Trail a couple of times, and Dog Mountain Trails, and there's a lot of different hikes up there that are different distances and different difficulties. But I did that for the first Camino, and I will say that it didn't really help. I still got tendonitis in my heels. I still got tendonitis in my knees, patellar tendonitis, and the reason was because I just went way too hard on that first day. There's not really a way to prepare for that other than, like I talked about in the last video, mental preparation. You have to restrain yourself. It's going to be exciting to be there. If it's your first Camino, the atmosphere is sort of lively, and people are excited. They're standing in line at the pilgrim's office toughest, just like they always dreamed of. And it's really easy to get carried away on your first day and go way too hard and end up with tendonitis or blisters or something that's gonna be damaging to your Camino experience. So as part of the training, remind yourself to, kind of like a jockey on a horse, you got to hold him back. You don't want to burn it out too soon. You hold it back, and then as you get your conditioning, you get your feet under you, then you increase little by little. But it's not a race. If you do what I've advised in the past, you pre-book those first 3 nights. You can stay at the Municipal in Saint Jean Pied de Port. They're not going to let you go without a roof over your head, so you don't even have to book in Saint Jean Pied de Port. So, but if you want to, if there's you want to stay at a certain specific place, a nice place or whatever, then you can pre-book that. But definitely pre-book Roncesvalles, because that's going to be the hard day. 16 miles, huge elevation gain, and you want to make sure that you're taking your time, you're pacing yourself, taking lots of breaks, taking your shoes off, and maybe stopping for an hour or so at the Orison. That's when you get to the Orison, the difficult part is over. That first 5 miles is pretty difficult. It's a steep climb, and if you've overpacked and your pack is something like 20 pounds instead of 10 pounds, you're really going to be feeling that. And you're probably going to be feeling it in your heels because you're pushing off of your Achilles a little too hard. So that first 5 miles is where you want to pull back on the reins and restrain yourself. You've got all day to do it. So if you leave at about 7 in the morning, which is a good time, that's about the time when people are wanting to go, because the sun's going to be coming up over the hills and it's beautiful out. And if you're lucky enough to get a decent weather, then it's going to be this beautiful pink sunrise, and you'll hear sheep coming out into the field. It's really nice. But 7 a.m., it takes you about 2 hours you'll go about 2 miles an hour on that uphill. Normally on flat, the average person's going to walk about 3 miles per hour. Fast walker like my son is going to go 4 miles per hour, maybe faster. I never quite see him once he's gone. So I do about 3.5 on a normal day. If I'm really feeling good, I might get up to like 4, but 3 is about what people average, and going on that steep uphill, it's going to be about 2. So you're going to go about 5 miles to the Orison. So it'll take you about 2.5 hours. So if you leave at 7, you'll be at the Orison for breakfast by 9:30, and that is going to be about almost a third of the way done. So 8 kilometers out of a total of 28, I think is what it is. And so you'd have like 20 kilometers, which is going to be 12 miles after that going. But the ground is going to be a lot flatter from the Orison on. It's a nice, slow, smooth grade for almost the entire rest of the way after the Orison. So you'll go 3 miles an hour the rest of the way, and you got about 12 miles. So another 4 hours of walking, and it's only maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30 by the time you leave the Orison. So you'll still be done by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, even just pacing yourself. So take it really easy, take it real slow on that first day. So as far as training, there's not really a way to duplicate that, and you certainly don't want to try. Like I said, I tried to duplicate what I was going to run into, and all it did was sort of maybe damage me a little bit, and I showed up to the Camino possibly overtrained, which might have been why I got the tendonitis in my heels and my knees. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're strong and healthy and you have no injuries when you show up. The best way to train, in my opinion, after 6 Caminos, is just walking on the street. Most of the Camino is just walking on pavement, sidewalks, or flat, hard-packed dirt farm roads. That's most of it. You get a few little bits where you're maybe going to climb up a hill for a little bit. You've got the first day out of Saint Jean Pied de Port that's got 5 miles of very steep. You've got the day you climb to Os Sobrero that's very similar to that, very steep, but by that time you're 4 weeks in, so it's not as difficult. So really, what you want to do is you just want to get enough training in so that you can manage to do 5 to 10 miles at a shot. Usually you'll just be going about 5 miles and then you'll stop at a cafe. There's towns every few miles, every 3, 4, or 5 miles, all along the Camino Frances. So you'll be stopping to take your shoes off, have a cup of coffee every 5 miles or so. And if you do that, you shouldn't have any real problems as long as you're wearing the right shoes. Again, don't wear boots, in my opinion. They're just going to give you blisters, and they're completely unnecessary. I wear running shoes. I don't even wear trail runners anymore. There's no tread on my shoes. So I'm the ones I'm walking in right now that I just purchased are the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel V5. And they have virtually no tread on them, and I will be completely okay with that. There's almost nothing that's gonna be a problem for me in those shoes. They're very lightweight. I'll just hop from place to place, and boots are just not necessary. A lot of people sort of worry about their feet being wet. I don't worry about it. It's been a rainy day here in California today, and I went out and did 5 miles in the rain with just my rain jacket and my shorts. And so the shorts that I wear are kind of like a swimsuit. They're a running short with a built-in liner, so you don't need to wear any underwear under them because it's already got it built in. They're very breathable, lightweight. They don't hold on to water. So the one thing you're going to find is, if you're packing for the weather and you're thinking, I'm going to bring rain pants and a rain, like the Gorton's fisherman guy with the hat on and everything, it's not necessary. You can get a poncho there on the Camino for like €8 and just wear that. And I just wear my shorts. It's very rarely going to be cold enough that's not going to be enough for me. As long as your core is okay, you stay warm on the main part of your body, your legs are fine. And I just tough it out most of the time. So today I went out, just had my rain jacket and my shorts, and so the very bottoms of my shorts got wet, which was fine. Normally on the Camino I'd have a poncho over everything, so I wouldn't have gotten wet at all, except for on my legs. But so yeah, the training, just go out and pick a spot about 2.5 miles out from your house. Maybe it's a Starbucks or another cafe, someplace you can sit outside and take your shoes off for a bit and walk that 2.5 miles, relax for 30 minutes, have a coffee, and then walk the 2.5 miles back. So if you do that, if you do 5 miles every day or every other day, and then on the weekend you try to do something about 7 to 10 miles, pick a spot 5 miles out. Over here I walk the little wetland area that's 3.5 miles each way, so that ends up being a 7 miler. Or I walk down the highway 5 miles there and 5 miles back. So I've got a couple of routes where I do 7 to 10 miles, and I usually do that about once a week. This week, because I was sort of doing sort of a boot camp, I ended up doing a total of 40 miles this week. I did a 7 mile, a 7 mile, a 10 mile, a 3 mile, and I think another 7 mile, and then something like a 5 mile today. So I just sort of did a crash course to sort of get my momentum going. And then from here on out, just so I don't end up with any kind of tendonitis or knee problems, I just need to sort of maintain that. So if I can get out 2 or 3 times a week, do 5 miles, and then occasionally do a longer one, I'll be fine. And I'll be just fine for the Camino with that. It's not necessary to do a complete Camino to duplicate those circumstances exactly. It's not necessary. You'll be fine. So the main thing is just get the right shoes, get the right pack together, and it's not even necessary. I never wear my pack when I train. It's again, I'm trying to avoid injury. I'm trying to get my endurance up, lose a little bit of weight, and get a little bit of my strength. The rest of that you'll build up on the Camino in those first 2 weeks. Those first 2 weeks are all about the physical part of the Camino, getting your strength and getting your Camino legs, basically. So that's it. That's all I do for training, and that's my recommendation. So if you can do that, you'll be fine, and you'll get to the Camino without any injuries. So that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.